Chapter 16. Detective's Intermission. My woman, my girl. Tokyo is quite a lively place. The crowds was always a current of people moving to and fro. The trains moving through tunnels, ferrying people about. City lights shone so bright that you could barely see the stars. And in such a densely packed population, crime naturally followed. That was how Naruto Shirogane, the detective prince, found himself seated at a comfortable red booth at a polished black table with little plates of sushi whizzing by on a looping conveyor belt. One would be forgiven for finding him unusual, particularly in the field of private investigation. At a mere 152 centimeters, he had hardly the most imposing stature. Those cold gray eyes and perpetual poker face made up for it, in his humble opinion. Short blue hair, masked with a blue cap top atop his head, the blue blazer over a collared white shirt, teal plaid pants, and black dress shoes provided a coordinated professional appearance to offset any assumptions about his temperament based on age. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is that an appropriate description paragraph? One that actually has character and actually gives us a chance to understand a little bit about him? People who want to write these descriptions, take note! This is how you do it! But for once, Nato sat not alone at their arduous mission, nor with his grandfather. Across the table, a tall, slender woman with long silver hair rested her hands on the table and watched Naruto with the faintest gust of a smile. Wait, is that? She wore a black dress suit and slacks, and her black turtleneck and high heels completed her polished professional appearance. Upon taking a plate of salmon nigiri, she carefully seized the piece in her chopsticks and dipped it in soy sauce with a level of poise that matched her classy style and cool demeanor. The woman, Sei Nijima, was the eldest daughter of Officer Akihiro Nijima, who the Shiroganes had recently partnered with to tackle an insidious trafficking case in the Shinjuku ward. With the case wrapped up with a neat little bow, Sei had invited Naruto out for a celebratory meal. It was honestly surprising, given the way most adults viewed him as only useful until he played his part, then cast him back into the proverbial playpen until they had a use for him again. I wonder, does Sei know? Does Sei know that? Oh, wait. Let's put her in there. Tracy just saw something. What? There may be people who are actually listening to this who don't know that Naruto is a very nice detective. So maybe we should keep the spoilers about it for that long. You're right. Although I'm questioning who's going to be spoiled by a over, I want to say 20 years, close to 20-year-old game with a character who has their own personal subreddit and has had several fan art. This is like spoiling that Robin is going to join the Straw Hats in the live action. Boo, boo. Oh, what? Come on. Everybody knows that. She's on a lot of freaking pop culture items. I have a t-shirt where she's with the Straw Hats. Say chuckled. Feeling introspective? My apologies, Sei-san. He bowed his head, then fetched a plate with some unagi as a palate cleanser. The heat and light seasoning on the eel kept it distinct for the otherwise cold selections. Thank you for having me. I should be thanking you, but I still think your ploy to act as live bait was reckless, Shirogane-kun. It was, but the results speak for themselves, do they not? Your father and I coordinated well. A hidden GPS tractor, a well-concealed gun, With the perpetrators targeting Myers, all I had to do was play the part of an innocent schoolgirl, and the rest fell perfectly into place. It was uncomfortable to put on such an act, but for the sake of the mission, a necessity. Those filthy men, trafficking high school students for their sick, twisted desires. Nato's lips curled back ever so slightly, but not quite a snarl, but the beginnings of one. But no, best not to lose his composure. Instead, steadying his breathing, they relaxed. Oh, and the person who plays Naruto in Japanese is Rami Park, the person known for playing Edward Elric, but also has played Goron Kerchak in Turn A Gundam. And so, my continuing theory that every anime in existence is, in fact, linked some way to Gundam continues. Every single one of them. Either a dub actor or the Japanese voice will be linked to Gundam. Go on, try me. I dare you. In the comments of this video, I dare some of you listeners to give me a random anime and I will link it to Gundam. And don't try it with Full Metal Alchemist like just did Romy Pak. Say watched his movements closely, one hand beneath her chin. It's funny. When I first heard that father would be working with the Detective Prince, I thought it was a joke. From what I heard, he seemed like a vapid celebrity, but I couldn't be happier to be proven wrong. For what it's worth, you wouldn't be the first to feel that way. In the years I've worked with my grandfather, I've faced my share of scrutiny due to my age. I would argue that gives me an edge, however. When you're perceived as a child, your opponents tend to lower their guard. They don't expect a keen mind behind such an innocent face. It's good that you persevered despite expectations. She gazed off to the side, watching more sushi coast by, while her chopsticks tapped the edge of her plate. The world of law and justice is cutthroat and oppressive to those who don't fit its perceived ideals. Like you say, son. He didn't mean to judge, or mock for that matter. Thankfully, Say seemed to understand. She blew a soft sigh, but a wry smile crossed her lips. The deck is stacked against me, but I won't let that stop me. In fact, I think the challenge keeps me motivated to succeed. Of course, and I think it's admirable you're so dedicated to your pursuit of justice. Our country looks down on women, expecting passivity over conviction. Thankfully, I'm glad that there are women like you who are willing to stand in a present society that would sooner spit in your face than open its doors. The world is changing, but those up top aren't so ready to accept it. If I could pursue justice and empower other women to do the same, then perhaps there's still hope for the future. She took another plate, halibut this time, although, given your next assignment, the Inaba case. Naruto searched his forehead and shut his eyes. Yes, that is quite the predicament. A scowl cut across Say's face. Wine red eyes narrowed and a deep crease in her brow. I just don't understand it. For a sleepy little town like Inaba to suddenly become the center of a serial murder case. And not only that, but one so abnormal, it makes no sense. It doesn't. Bodies appearing on telephone poles and antennae. Autopsies unable to determine the cause of death. And still, the local police have failed to apprehend the culprit, let alone uncover any clues to her identity. And worse, both victims thus far were women, unceremoniously swept into the public eye. I know. You couldn't go 5 minutes without some station reporting on the Mayumi Yamano scandal. And of course they blamed her for the affair, instead of the man who knowingly cheated on his wife. Nato glared, cold as ice, with a voice to match. And the poor teenage girl who witnessed the body, only to forfeit her life days later. While it's too soon to build a profile, I can only suspect the killer is some sort of sick misogynist. And of course, the media is quick to capitalize on the case, not out of compassion, but for spectacle. It's all about the ratings. Say shook her head and groaned. But I suppose if anyone could get to the bottom of this, it's you. And I will. A case this dire cannot be allowed to persist. Whatever sick game the killer thinks they're playing, I will personally end it. Good. I wouldn't expect anything less. A smile returned to Say's lips. Actually, the head of that case is an old friend of the family. I can't promise he'll be as receptive as you, but my father's already promised to put in a good word on your behalf. So hopefully that'll make the transition smoother. Oh, that was perhaps not unexpected, but it still gave Naruto a pause. Ah, tell your father he has my thanks. Of course. He was quite impressed by your work. I think he really does want you to succeed, as does my sister. Naruto chuckled. Is she still aspiring to be the next teen detective? Unfortunately. I keep telling her she needs to focus on her studies first. But ever since she met you, she can't stop gushing about how cool you are. And I don't think I didn't see that blush after you joined us for dinner. How flattering. Not that Naruto had an experience before. Idolization isn't crushes. I'm happy to inspire. Within reason, of course. Inspiration only. Stay pointing at top exam. My sister's still too young for dating. Light blushed dust in Naruto's cheeks, purely from the implication. And I assure you, that I have no interest in such things. Putting aside that I'm her elder, I'm going to have to be quite busy once I transfer to Inaba. I know, but I do hope you find some time to enjoy your stay there. It's going to be a whole different atmosphere. Sting looked down upon her plate, sighing. That's what gets me the most. Everything I've heard says that Inaba is a really peaceful community. But now that murders have affected everything, perhaps for the first time in many of its inhabitants' lifetimes, they're at the heart of a serious crime spree that leaves no resident truly safe. Yet children are still expected to go to school. Life moves on despite the dangers it posed. But when you solve the case, the peace will return. Even if it's not on the same scale as Tokyo, you'll still make a difference. And I argue that little towns like Inaba need you because they're so overlooked. That's like us. It's just based on the surface level characteristics and arbitrary assumptions on our value to society. Natsuko took another bite of unagi. Unfortunately, it had gotten a little cold. Still delicious, though. It's a shame. I've enjoyed our conversations, Seichan. You're one of the few adults I've met who actually treats me as a peer rather than a child. We'll stay in touch, she said with such a warmth that it did. At least a little sweetness to their bitter circumstances. Keep me posted. I'd like to hear how the case develops. Are you sure? I hate to take up your valuable time. I insist. Say smiled Brian. Besides, you look like you could use a friend. A friend. How funny. Naruto had never prioritized friendship, far more focused on reading, studying, detective work. But somehow, the idea wasn't too daunting now. It was say, perhaps that was all right. She had proven herself a reliable, intelligent, determined woman who Naruto could trust. Given that he was about to embark to a town, there was no guarantee to his gifts that would be respected. Perhaps it paid to have a lifeline of sorts. At least then, he wouldn't be so alone. So, with the tiniest trace of smile on his lips, Naruto said, All right, Seitan. I'd be honored to be your friend. For now, though, Independence murders could wait. With its departure on the horizon, little moments like this shone all the brighter.